atau Artificial Intelligence of Things, which adds to cloud connectivity using Delta V SCADA. Topik yang kami bawakan hari ini mungkin akan berhubungan dengan transformasi digital di industri Sobat Tiara sekalian. Seperti yang kita ketahui, di dalam sebuah industri modern, data bukan lagi sekedar hasil pencatatan operasional di industri yang Sobat Tiara jalani. Data adalah sebuah fondasi utama untuk kebutuhan dalam pengambilan keputusan atau decision making. Setiap proses produksi, setiap kendala mesin, dan setiap konsumsi energi, hingga setiap alarm, sistem yang menghasilkan data yang jika dikelola dengan baik dapat memberikan insight strategis bagi perusahaan. Namun, kita semua mungkin sepakat bahwa tantangannya bukan pada ketersediaan data, melainkan pada bagaimana data yang kita kumpulkan ini dapat diintegrasikan, divisualisasikan, dan diubah menjadi sebuah informasi yang actionable. Tentunya tanpa sistem yang tepat, data hanya menjadi angka yang tersebar dan sulit dimanfaatkan dengan optimal. Karena itu, di webinar kali ini kami mencoba untuk memberikan sebuah solusi ke Sobat Tiara sekalian, sebuah software atau platform yang mampu menghubungkan data dari edge devices atau equipment yang ada di lapangan hingga cloud, yang dapat diakses secara real-time, aman, dan scalable. Disinilah peran solusi Delta Visa SCADA untuk membantu Sobat Tiara sekalian dalam mentransformasikan data operasional menjadi intelligence yang mendukung efisiensi, reliability, dan pengambilan keputusan yang lebih cepat. Bukan hanya sekadar menghubungkan data dari equipment dari lapangan hingga ke cloud, Delta Visa SCADA juga dapat meningkatkan aksesibilitas dan skalabilitas sistem monitoring dan juga mendukung implementasi AIoT untuk predictive insight dan operational efficiency. Kami tentunya berharap di sesi ini kami dapat memberikan gambaran tentang bagaimana pendekatan Edge to Cloud Connectivity dapat membantu perusahaan Anda menjadi lebih agile, efisien, dan menghadapi tantangan industri global. Dan juga sedikit informasi bahwa perusahaan kami, PT Tiara Vibrasindo Pratama, sudah berkolaborasi cukup lama dengan Emerson Automation Solution, di mana kami hadir sebagai mitra terpercaya dalam memberikan solusi reliability dan asset performance di Indonesia, di mana kami menghadirkan beberapa teknologi dari Emerson seperti online condition monitoring, dan di siang hari ini kita akan memberikan sebuah software yang akan kita bahas di webinar kali ini. Mungkin itu sedikit introduction di siang hari ini. Tentunya di webinar kali ini kita tidak sendiri. Kita kehadiran speaker dari prinsipal kami Emerson, yaitu Ralph Souza, client partner dari Emerson Automation Solution yang akan saya sapa. Halo, good afternoon, Ralph.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, how are you, Ralph?
I'm good. Am I audible?
Okay, yeah, you're audible. Can you hear my voice clearly?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much for your time today, for your willingness to be with us as today for our guest speaker. We truly appreciate your availability and your support for this session. So earlier, I have briefly opened the webinar and shared a short overview of today's topic, which is accelerating IIoT with edge to cloud connectivity using Delta V SCADA. I have shared a short overview, so just to set the context for our audience what we are having today. So with that introduction, I believe this is the perfect time to hear directly from you, and I wish you can take us deeper into the topics. So without further delay, the time is yours. Maybe you can introduce yourself first, or you want to share your screen?
Yes, let me share my screen, and if
Okay.
you can confirm that you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your screen. Okay, Ralph, please take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph, for the introduction and for setting the context. And selamat siang to all our participants. Terima kasih atas waktu Anda hari ini. My name is Ralph D'Souza. I'm responsible for Emerson's software business in Southeast Asia and Taiwan. And today, as part of this webinar session, I will be taking you to an exciting topic which we have titled Accelerating AIoT, or Artificial Intelligence of Things, with edge to cloud connectivity. So before I dive directly into the subject, I just would like to also provide a little bit of context, in terms of where and what is happening in the world around us, right? If we look at artificial intelligence by itself. So AI today is no longer limited to test beds or pilots. We are seeing AI be applied to every facet of our life. We look at applications like ChatGPT, we're looking at Gemini, Copilot, and even DeepSeek, right, where it's revolutionizing the whole AI landscape, so to say. Industrial users are also using AI to improve process efficiencies, and they're also looking at using AI to predict failures on their equipment so that they could have early warnings, of those impending failures. Governments are also investing in AI. There have been major investments in data centers that are happening in the region, and also committees are being set up to provide strategy and direction, as well as upskilling workforce as far as AI is concerned. So you see that there's a lot of AI. It's no longer future; it's happening today, and we are seeing it, in our region as well. But the key I would like to touch upon here is that for AI, for us to be able to use AI needs data. So data is the key, and as they say, data is the new oil, right? And that's where we at Emerson have been driving this change as far as the future of automation is concerned. So if you look at Emerson's vision, we call it boundless automation. This is where we are looking at extracting the value, at being able, to liberate data so that we can extract the value from our data that can be then used for business decisions. Now, traditionally, if you look at the way our facilities, the way our plants are set up, the OT and the IT worlds, they don't talk to each other. There's a void, there's a wall. Operational technology and information technology, it's very difficult, to get data across to each other. And that's where we are trying to see how we can break down those walls, how we can converge the OT and IT world. And that's where Emerson's vision, or Emerson's boundless automation, allows us to be able to seamlessly move data from the intelligent field to the edge, and also from the edge to the cloud, so that now you can have data at your fingertips, which you can then use to run analytics, to derive deeper insights, so that you can drive your business outcomes, which could be around safety, sustainability, or even improving reliability, profitability, and workforce efficiency. So let me give you a brief background in terms of this whole platform, this Delta V SaaS SCADA platform. So Emerson acquired a company called ZI in 2019. So ZI as a company existed much before that. It was established in 1987 in Alberta, Canada, and predominantly focused in the oil and gas industry. The SaaS platform became available commercially in early 2000, and since then it has evolved, keeping up with the trends and the times, keeping up with the technology advancements as well. And now with AI picking up, the platform itself has capabilities for you to be able to do your AI and ML as well. If you see today, we are managing 3.3 million data points across 20 different countries. Almost 500 plus different companies are using this platform for their benefits, and with more than 4,600 users on a daily basis accessing data from this platform. And as we evolve, as we grow, we are seeing that this volume of data, this volume of users, continues to grow as AI and AIoT in general becomes more and more prevalent and pervasive. So what is Delta V SaaS SCADA? And let me, throw some light on this application, on this platform per se, right? So in its simplest form, Delta V SaaS SCADA is a secure, scalable IoT cloud native platform that allows you to connect, collect, and contextualize data from the field so that you can now access this data anytime, anywhere. As you can see on your screen, we have data that can be collected from the field. It could be field devices, PLCs, controllers, and these need not necessarily be Emerson devices, right? It could be third-party devices. It could be, other instruments that are at play. The platform per se is agnostic to the underlying technology, the underlying sensing technology, the IoT sensors, and can pick up data using standard protocols. The data is then passed on securely through a virtual private network to the cloud, where now as a user, you can access this data using a web browser, either on your laptop, your desktop, your pads, or even on your mobile phone using a dedicated app, that is tailor-made for you to visualize this information. So it's a secure platform, and I'll talk a little bit more in detail in my subsequent slides on some of those security features as well. So why SaaS, right? So, and for those of you who are wondering what this term SaaS is all about, SaaS is nothing but software as a service. It is delivered natively in the cloud. And so the question is, why SaaS, right? And I generally give this example of an iceberg because essentially what you see is not what you get. There's a lot more that we provide with the SaaS platform. And if you compare this to, let's say, an on-prem system, if you have to set up an on-prem system, you need to look at the IT infrastructure, you need to look at the servers, the hardware, OS compatibility, then you have updates, upgrades, backups, recoveries, security, so many things that need to be taken care of, as well as the IT administration, the day-to-day IT administration that goes with it. However, with the SaaS platform, all this goes away. All this is taken care of by Emerson. Emerson provides you all this, and that's where all you need to do is access the data using a simple web browser. And all you need to subscribe to, it's like a subscription, right? It's a subscription, annual subscription fee. Just like today, you would be accessing your Adobe Acrobat or Microsoft 365 for that matter. Works on the same lines where we are providing all of these facilities as well as the application itself as an annual subscription fee. So what are we trying to address? What are those industry challenges that we are trying to solve using Delta V SaaS SCADA? And let me begin, with the operation side of the business, right? So today, if you look at companies, organizations, they are pretty stressed as far as operations are concerned, since they have to do a lot more with less, which means they have to actually sweat their assets, make them operate more efficiently without compromising on safety. They also need to understand how the operating conditions are impacting the health of the equipment and whether they can extend life of the equipment. Uh, then you also have regulatory constraints where regulations and now with sustainability also becoming a big area of many companies adopting net zero initiatives. Then companies are also looking operationally how can they reduce their energy consumption as an example, right? Or how can they reduce their emissions as an example? So these are some of the operating challenges that industries are facing today. On the maintenance side, companies are looking at reducing the maintenance cost, how they can extend their equipment life, extend the mean time between failure, how they can monitor the equipment performance and ensure that they are able to proactively respond to issues rather than reactively. So that's basically moving from a reactive to a proactive and even a predictive maintenance approach. And then how to prioritize which equipments need to be repaired, replaced, based on the actual health of the asset. So those are the maintenance related challenges that companies are also facing today. And then again, we look at productivity, efficiency. This is where data, how much data is available, whether the data is accessible, how can we use the data for early warnings, alarms, notifications, or even how do we accurately interpret the data so that we can report and use that data to make business decisions, right? So that's where the data angle comes in from an efficiency and a productivity perspective. And last but not the least, obviously, budget. This is where all companies are looking at cutting costs, reducing costs, both CapEx and OpEx costs. So given these industry challenges, this is where Delta V SaaSCADA plays a key role in enabling organizations to address these challenges, and that too within their budgets. So let's take a deeper look at what Delta V SaaSCADA is, some of the functions, some of the features, so that we get a better idea in terms of how this can support you in your business decisions. So here's again, at the center, you see this is the Delta V SaaSCADA platform where I can bidirectionally communicate with the field. So I can pull the data from the field, but at the same time, I can also control to an extent. So if I have to start a pump, stop a pump, if I have to change the set point, I can do those kind of things using Delta V SaaSCADA. The communication from the field takes place through a secure VPN, virtual private network. This is where we use a telecom provider or we use satellite connectivity to be able to send the data to the platform. And once the data is in the platform, that's where all the magic happens, right? So the first thing is the platform. At the platform level, we offer you a historian, so you can historize the data. So you can even look at trends, you can look at historical data, real-time data, and use that data to run your KPIs, to run your analytics, which you see on the right here. It's just a sample dashboard that allows you to monitor different parameters in real time, and then also report, based on either regulatory requirements or even based on your commercial requirements. We also provide a dedicated mobile app that allows you to access the data which is available in Delta V SaaSCADA. This mobile app is intuitive in the sense you can see all the alarms, you can see the trends, you can see the KPIs, and you can also build your own reports on the fly. So that allows you to have anytime, anywhere access, and any authorized user can access this data through the mobile phone. The other aspect is also we provide the capability to send data out. So let's say, for example, if you want to send this data out to your ERP systems or your CMMS systems, right? So this is where we also have the capability of data exchange, where we can send the data that is being collected in our historian, can be sent out to these third-party systems as well. So the three tenets that we generally focus on in terms of the platform and the application itself, and these are described here, right? Security, scalability, and service, the three S's as we call it. So from a security aspect, we take security and cybersecurity very seriously. So our platform is hosted in Microsoft Azure. And to our Indonesia users, this is something which will be a good news because Microsoft has recently, in fact, last year, opened a data center in Indonesia, and our platform is actually hosted in Indonesia in Microsoft Azure. So you have the in-country setup that can be used, for all your applications, basically. And because it's in Microsoft, you have almost 3,500 security experts who have no other work but ensuring that the platform itself is secure, right? So that's where we take security very seriously as well. Scalability, yes, you can, from a platform perspective, you can start small and then you can grow. So maybe you can have a few assets to begin with, which you're monitoring. You can extend that to a plant, to a facility, and then over time to multiple facilities and even across geographical regions, right? So you could have something like a regional operation center or a central operation center from where you can monitor all your equipment, all your facilities, which are geographically dispersed as well. And then from a service perspective, we offer 24/7, 365 days support. The support is available not just in North America, but also in our region here in Southeast Asia. We have dedicated teams and dedicated supports in our time zone so that we are able to service our customers, based on their requirements and based on their needs. So let's take a deeper look now at some of the functions and functionality of the platform itself as we go through, the subsequent slides. So the first thing is talking about connectivity, and as I mentioned in my opening slide, that we can connect to any device. It's agnostic. It does not need to be an Emerson device. So be it a PLC, be it a sensor, an IoT sensor, an RTU, a power meter, or even a historian for that matter, we can connect and bring the data into our platform. We support multiple protocols, and that's where you see our edge device, which exists, which not only allows you to convert these different protocols to an MQTT format so that the data is sent to the cloud in small packets, but it also has the functionality of store and forward, which means in case my communication is broken with the cloud, I can still store that data at the edge, and when my communication is restored, it will backfill the data. So there's no data loss, and you have all your data securely available at every point of time. Now, what's also good about this in terms of connectivity is that it's a low code kind of a setup. So you don't need any custom programming. You can simply use a self-serve commissioning portal that allows you to quickly map the sensors in the field to tags in the system, right? So again, a very user-friendly interface. And let's say if we also want to access the data on the edge, I can use what we call as a customer network access, which is a secure virtual private network right to the device to understand the analytics or to understand the health of that device as well. So all this is available in terms of edge connectivity from a Delta V SaaS SCADA perspective. The next aspect is security, and this is a very important aspect, when we look at, especially cloud offerings. And this is where, as I mentioned, we take security very, very seriously. So obviously at the platform level, Microsoft Azure, so there's a lot of security that's already built into the platform, but even at the application level, we ensure all the security. So from a reliability perspective, we make sure the platform is available 99.9% of the time so that you have access to the data always securely with no data loss or no downtime. In terms of backup, we have what we call as a 3-2-1 backup strategy. That is three data, the three forms of the data in two types. That is in two different storage types, and then one would be at a secure different seismic location like a backup site. Mobility and web applications, this is also secured via transport layer security, and also from a data communication perspective, the data is encrypted both at rest as well as in motion. We also have device communication, which is virtual, as I said, virtual private network. And since we're using internet protocol securities to ensure that the data is securely sent to the cloud. In terms of the historian that I mentioned, the historian is not internet facing. It's a relational database system that is not facing the internet. So it's always protected. And last but not the least, the system is also SOC 2 audited. So as you can see, a lot of security is at the heart of the solution, both from a platform perspective as well as from an application perspective. And also at the user perspective, we could set role-based access. So only certain users can view data, certain users can edit or have admin features. So all those kind of role-based two-factor authentication can also be made available from a security perspective. The next aspect is actually visualizing the data, and this is where we provide live data screens. So you could have schematics, PNIDs, or even 3D images where you could monitor real-time data related to your process plant, to your equipment, and these screens, can be updated. You yourself, can also edit and create your own screens. So it offers you a very user-friendly interface, to also create your own screens. On the reporting side, you could create your reports on the fly, not just at the mobile app, but also at the web interface level. So you can then export these reports as Excel or CSV files, or even create reports in PDF formats. As I was mentioning, artificial intelligence, analytics today, data-driven analytics is key. And given that now we are collecting all the data, both historical and real-time data, we are also providing you uh, the capability to run your analytics in the platform itself. So we call it Analytics View, which is powered by Tableau, that allows you to use the data to run your analytics. Could be simple equations, could be complex AI algorithms that you want to run. In fact, we have used this to, run some AI/ML algorithms on the rod pump optimization in the oil and gas industry. So, uh, uh, another great tool that is available within the platform for you to leverage the data that you are collecting today. And then exporting the data, right? This is where the data exchange comes into place. So there are multiple ways that you can export the data. It could be a database to database. You could have MQTT streams through which you are sending out the data, or you could simply have an export data push, which could, send data either through CSV or Excel files as well. So multiple ways that you can not only ingress the data, but you can also egress the data, so that making this platform very versatile in terms of its usage. And last but not the least, in terms of its functionality, we have the mobile app, and this is an all new designed app that's today available on Android. It's available on iOS and also on Windows. It allows you to have the same look and feel. So whatever you see on the web screen, you can also see the data, you can see the alarms, you can see your schematics, dashboards, and you can also create reports using the app. The notifications are also available. So in case of an alarm, you are alerted. So we have alarms that can be set within the system for specific parameters. So those alarm thresholds, if they are breached, you will get notifications which could go out either via email, could go out via SMS, or you could even get notifications in the app, which you can then check and take further action based on the actual alarm itself. So all in all, as I had mentioned earlier, Emerson's boundless automation. So you can see how Delta V Cascada kind of fits that whole vision of being able to seamlessly exchange data and seamlessly move data from the intelligent field to the edge, and then from the edge to the cloud. So the value proposition that we bring to the table here is it's a single platform that allows you not just to collect the data, but also to use the data to run analytics. You have real-time visibility, and you can also use this for asset monitoring and for control. And it's a secure data access that's available to you. So this, in a nutshell, were some of the functions and features that we have to offer as part of Delta V Cascada. I'll now move into the next session where we'll talk about some of the applications where we have seen Delta V Cascada being put to use, and some of those use cases as well. So if you look at industries specifically, as I mentioned, this was born in the oil and gas industry specifically. So definitely oil and gas, both upstream as well as midstream, especially when we look at gas distribution, that's where this has always been prevalent. But over time, we have seen that there's a lot of application in other industries as well. In fact, the platform is agnostic to industry. It can be any industry. So while I've mentioned a few industries here, it's not limited to these industries. It can be used across other industries as well, depending on the use case. So we also have cases in mining, where both for open pit mines as well as underground mines. We have for machine health monitoring, where we're looking not just at process values, but we are also looking at vibration as an example. We look at utilities, both power generation, distribution. In fact, now with the the sustainability drive and with renewable energy also picking up, we have many use cases on the renewable energy or on the renewable side as well. Healthcare, this is another area where we've seen some application of Delta V SaaS SCADA and OEMs who are looking at monitoring their equipment are also using this platform as a way of monitoring the equipment. A classic example in Indonesia today is Lumberger, which uses our platform to monitor their ESPs, which they deploy at oil and gas facilities. So some other applications that have been built in the platform. So here's an example in the oil and gas space. So we have solutions for well pad, autonomous rod pump using the analytics engine, the analytics view component of the platform. We have compressor analytics that you can run, and also other applications outside the oil and gas industry. So this is where I was mentioning about renewables, right? So where we can look at power gensets, batteries, and even the water, wastewater industry, where we're looking at monitoring water towers, pumps, and other related equipment. We also have applications for tank level monitoring. So let's say you are holding either crude oil or you're holding the downstream products, and you have to monitor the level, pressure, temperature in these tanks. This is a great way of being able to remotely monitor these without having to send people out, to check, and then also use the information to be able to refill or, to push this out to your customers. We've also deployed this in mining on conveyor drive system. There's also an application with haul trucks, especially in the mining space, where haul trucks the engines can also be monitored. And then paper machines where, we've also deployed this particular application. Here's a classic example of machine health monitoring, where we can combine both our vibration monitoring as well as Delta V SaaS SCADA. So traditionally, when we look at vibration monitoring, we would normally have a handheld where someone would go to the field, collect the data, then come back into the office, load it onto a software where an expert would have to do the analysis and then create a report. And based on the recommendations from the report, then someone would go out there and do a corrective or a maintenance action. Now, with the availability of edge analytics and also the availability of the cloud platform, we can directly connect to our edge analytics, which we call as AMS Asset Monitor, that allows us to to set alarm thresholds for specific you can say equipment issues, be it around lubrication, around looseness, around bearing failures, etc. And if those alarms are breached, you can then take some action. So it's more a real-time access of the data using a combination of edge and cloud. And just to give you a feel of the architecture, this is where you can see this is our edge device, the AMS Asset Monitor, which runs the edge analytics. So it can give you the peak view, but apart from that, can also give you actual recommendations and actual issues related to looseness, bearing issues, lubrication issues, etc., alignment issues, etc. So all those we can now track within the cloud platform. And if there is any breach and we want to further study, we can use the same CNA, the customer network access, to go straight and access those edge analytics and further take a look at what's going wrong, maybe look at the spectrum, etc., etc. So all within the same cloud-based interface. So a very new and a useful kind of a workflow, eliminating a lot of manual effort and also making the whole process a little more efficient. We also have the same when it comes to wireless vibration. So we have our 9430, 9530 or 9420 kind of wireless vibration devices, which we can also connect using the gateway and then bring that data for monitoring into Delta V SaaS SCADA. So as you can see, multiple applications, multiple industries that this application can be deployed on. So let's look now at some of the success stories. So we've talked about the platform itself. We've looked at the functions and features. We've also looked at some of the use cases. Now let's take a look at some of the areas where this has been deployed, where it has been successful. And my first success story I have is from Allegheny Petroleum. And let's see what the project manager has to say about the use of Delta V SaaS SCADA.
My name is Ron Sando. My role is a project manager at Allegheny Petroleum Products in the Pittsburgh area. So I've worked in the lubricant industry for 20 plus years, and I've always done projects and hang my hat on some technology. I was originally in computer science, but I got to use it in the lubricant world. So when I came to Allegheny Petroleum 6 years ago, we were on this path, and it was top-down driven from CEO and president. It was their vision not to use technology for the sake of technology, but how can we leverage what's changing in the world. And so I was very happy to take on the first job of let's get technology into our customers' location where we can manage their levels of their tanks. So one of the ways that we've recently, in the last 5 years, we're able to have data available to everybody is leverage Emerson's Delta V SaaS SCADA solutions, software as a service, where we were able to take our level data from not only our own manufacturing plants, where we have hundreds of tanks of different raw materials and finished lubricants, but we also leverage that knowledge and technology that we learned from Emerson to take to our customers. Now we sell that as a part of our fluid management services, to where we take the total cost of ownership of their lubricant and we manage that cost down for them. One of the things that this really has set up for Allegheny Petroleum is not seeing ourselves anymore as just an oil provider or oil company. We see ourselves as a service and solution provider to our customer. Now that we know that we can connect things wirelessly and get it to the cloud quickly, not just level, temperature, flow, but we can also do this at our customer's location too. So anything, we're doing in-process oil monitorings for the life cycle of the oil. I think that's pretty innovative for an oil company to just kind of redefine themselves as a service provider of solutions to their own problems. So it's really almost defined our business model.
So that's one success that we have with Allegheny. We have a few more. This is a classic healthcare hospital case study, actually. And as you know, nitrous oxide, which is more potent and more harmful as a greenhouse gas compared to carbon dioxide. So the Children's Hospital at Westmead was looking at a way to monitor, and they were also embarking on their own sustainability initiative, and they wanted to reduce the leak of this harmful greenhouse gas. And that's where they were looking at a solution, to be able to not just monitor, but also control and reduce the emissions so that they could comply with their net zero objectives, their sustainability goals. And that's where, as Emerson, we provided them a combination of our flow sensors, flow meters, as well as Delta V SaaS SCADA that helped them monitor, and alarms were generated whenever there was a change in the pressure drop, indicating let's say, as an example, a leakage or so. So a classic example of how Delta V SaaS SCADA was leveraged in a hospital for monitoring nitrous oxide. We have another example in the Philippines where we have Bonifacio Gas Corporation. This is basically supplying LPG gas to both industrial as well as residential customers. And they were as well looking at a way of being able to monitor the volume of gas so that they could also bill their customers for the consumption. But at the same time, they were also looking at a way to see, if they could pick up any suspected gas leaks, or be able to ensure, no incident takes place from a safety perspective. And that's where they embarked on an initial pilot with us. We implemented both, again, here the flow as well as Delta V SaaS SCADA platform, where they were able to monitor and pick up those changes that would give them early warnings of any impending gas leaks or impending issues in the system. And they are also using the system now to bill their customers for consumption, right? So any any industrial customers that or any residential customers, they now have clear visibility in terms of the consumption. This is another offshore case, Santos in Australia. Now, this is a case where they are looking at actually decommissioning, two of their offshore platforms, and they wanted to ensure that in doing so, they are able to fully comply with all the safety and environmental considerations. And so, as they are decommissioning, they are looking at very close monitoring, of both these platforms, and this is where they are using satellite connectivity to be able to send the data from these two platforms to the cloud, to our platform, Delta V SaaS, and they are monitoring these two platforms using our Delta V SaaS. So a great example of offshore remote monitoring, from a decommissioning perspective. But we've also seen offshore monitoring in Indonesia, where we've had some success with Pertamina in the past, especially with ONWJ as well as with Polling, both being unmanned platforms, where Delta V Cascada was used to monitor the wells, and not just monitor, but also control to the extent where the valve we were able to throttle the valve so that they could improve or optimize the gas uplift from the wells. So this is a great example right here in Indonesia, where this particular platform has been implemented. But we also have other cases in Philippines where we've implemented it with an OEM, a boiler manufacturing company that's looking to improve the efficiency of its boilers that it supplies to different customers, as well as in Singapore, where Leiden Knox, which is an industrial gas company, that's looking at monitoring. It's like a telemetry system, monitoring the flow rate, the pressure, and also the consumption of gas at different industrial sites. So all in all, some of the success stories that I wanted to share with you, and all these, as you see, are from the region, but we also have other global successes in different industries, and be happy to share with you, maybe in future as we go ahead. Maybe if there's something that has interested you, be happy to hear from you as well. And if there are any questions now, I would like to open the floor to questions as well. So with that, thank you very much for your time, and hand over back to Joseph.
Okay, thank you, Rolf, for the insightful presentation that you have delivered. So I think we will move to the Q&A session. So in this session, we will answer if there is any question from our participants today. So I think we received a number of questions in the chat box, if you can see. As you can see, so we'll start from the earliest question from Rosyad. How much bandwidth we need for a small plant, say 100 equipment to monitor, 1,000 equipment to monitor? So that's the first question.
Yeah, so from a telecom perspective, what we do is normally we also provide you the SIM card, which is an AT&T SIM card, so that it's a virtual private network that we can establish to our platform. And we also provide you with the data plan. So normally 10 Mbps of a data plan would be good enough, depending on the frequency at which you're polling the data, right? So today you may be having, let's say, 1,000 or 100 equipment, but it also depends on, whether you're polling the data at a frequency, let's say, of 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour. So depending on that, we would advise the right data plan, which could vary from between 10 Mbps to even 1 Gbps.
Ya,
Thank you very much for the answer.
Oke.
Thank
Mungkin
you.
ada yang mau ditanyakan lagi Pak Rosyad terkait tadi.
Sementara cukup sih, Pak. Terima kasih.
Oke. Eh, Hello. Sorry. So the second question is comes from Rafika. She asked about DVSS is quite similar with AMS optic data lake in terms of features. So if it yes, what is the main difference between them?
What is the main difference between AMS optics data lake and Delta V SaaS SCADA, right? Yeah, so the main difference is Delta V SaaS SCADA is cloud native. That means there is no on-premise offering when it comes to Delta V SaaS SCADA. It is natively built using cloud technology. That's why we call it as a SaaS platform, a software as a service. Whereas AMS optics, uh, you can have it installed on-prem as well. So that's the major difference. In terms of functionality, as I mentioned, we support multiple different protocols, and also we have an inbuilt analytics engine where you can use the data that you're collecting, to run some of the analytics. So these are some of the differences, but the major difference is one, Delta V SaaS SCADA is cloud native, whereas AMS optics can also be installed on-prem.
Bagaimana Pak Nafika? Atau ada yang ingin ditanyakan kembali, Pak?
Yeah. Hello, Rob. Still remember me?
Yes, hello, how are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah. So, but okay, for right now we have the MS data lake, right? So because we already have the DCS with Delta V, but currently we have another project with the other side. This not use Delta V for the DCS, just the PLC. So if you want to use for the concept is same like we have at the agronomy right now. So for this SaaS, I think the best option, right? If we not using the Delta V for the DCS, but with the other brand, just the PLC, the common PLC.
Yep. So yes, DVSS ideally is well suited, for geographically dispersed kind of assets. And let's say if you have multiple brands of PLCs or even controllers, and you're looking at, like, let's say, centrally monitoring it, right? So that's where Delta V SaaS SCADA can come into play, as it is agnostic to the underlying technology, right? So that is one thing to be considered. But at the same time, we have to strike a balance in terms of trying to understand, what application you're looking at, right? At the end of the day, the data that you're collecting from these different systems, what is the end use of that data? So depending on that, we would be able to advise which would be the best solution that you can go with.
Yeah, the objective is same like we have in agronomy Dubai. So at the middle side, we want just one. There is just a common PLC, very basic PLC. So the idea from management, we need to have the same platform, so we can have dashboard that can monitoring online anywhere.
Right.
So the SaaS is a correct thing.
Yes, you can have SaaS as an option to be able to monitor data across all your sites. Yeah, so you could have, today you may be having in Dubai, maybe have other sites like in Malaysia also you have some sites, right? So if you want to consolidate all the data in one place centrally, you could use Delta V SaaS SCADA for that.
Okay, very clear. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Terima kasih banyak Pak Rafika atas pertanyaannya. Untuk selanjutnya, for the next questions is coming from Iriko. So he's asking about what automation that Delta V can do with artificial intelligence or machine learning.
So I think as I mentioned, like, we provide analytics view, which is powered by Tableau, right? So Tableau, if you are conversant with Tableau, it's very similar to, let's say, a Power BI as an example. So it works on the same lines. But we have used, this particular application to do rod pump optimization, autonomous rod pump, right? Optimization. We have used it in some cases to run some complex analytics. So there are certain, you can say, applications where we can use the existing analytics view, which is powered by Tableau. But we would have to understand from you, what exactly you're looking at, because when we look at AI also as a subject, it's a very broad subject because there are multiple types of AI, but AI is often very loosely used, right? So you have generative AI, you have machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, a lot of different types of AI. So depending on your application, we would be able to best recommend, how this platform can benefit you, or if it is the best solution, for your specific use case. So it'll be good to understand better your use case before we can recommend, the best solution for you.
Okay, thank you, Raf, for your response. Hope it's answered the questions. So next question is coming from Jimmy Sepriansa. So how can an integrated integrity management system effectively combine mechanical integrity, corrosion monitoring, inspection data, and risk-based assessment to prevent loss of contaminant and containment and ensure safe, reliable operation of critical oil and gas facilities?
Okay, it's a pretty long question. Can you just repeat it again once more, please,
Yeah,
for me?
maybe you can see it so in the chat box if you want to make it.
Yeah.
So how can an integrated integrity management system effectively combine mechanical integrity, corrosion monitoring, inspection data, and risk-based assessment to prevent loss of containment and ensure safe, reliable operation of critical oil and gas facilities?
Okay. So from an application perspective, this particular application that I spoke today about, Delta V SaaS SCADA, it's not a risk-based inspection kind of a tool, right? The whole purpose or the whole value of this tool is being able to monitor real-time data. Now you can monitor corrosion. So if you have, let's say, online corrosion sensors available, you could bring that data and you could monitor that online, right? So that's where you'll be able to understand, thickness variations or essentially, residual life. But it's not in a sense a true integrity tool or a risk-based inspection tool, but you can definitely use the data to further augment your risk-based inspection, because here's where you're collecting all the real-time data. So you're not just collecting, let's say, as an example, in this case, corrosion data, but you're also getting mechanical data, let's say vibration. You can also collect process data. So you have a combination of data types which you can then use to further analyze and better ensure that the integrity and the health of your equipment is maintained. And you could also use that data in other applications like RBI. As I mentioned, this data is not confined to just to the platform. You can also exchange data with other third-party applications. So this data can then be sent out to your other tools like RBI to run those kind of analysis as well. I hope I was able to answer that question. If you have any follow-up questions on that, please feel free.
Yeah, maybe that's the answer from Ralph, Pak Jimmy, mungkin. Okay. Maybe if there's any question from our participants, maybe you can ask directly. You can open your mic if you want to. So while we're waiting the question from if there is any question from our participants, I want to ask some questions to you. Wait a second. So here's the question. So in Indonesia, particularly under SKK Migas regulations, cloud servers are required to be located within Indonesia. Is Delta V SaaS SCADA able to use cloud servers that are based in Indonesia?
Yes, very good question, and thank you for that question. As I mentioned during my presentation, Emerson has actually invested in a data server in Indonesia. So now with Microsoft Azure also available in Indonesia, this particular application will be hosted in Microsoft Azure. and so as to comply with your local data residency guidelines as mandated by SKKMICAS. So yes, the answer is yes. This particular application is hosted in a data center in Indonesia.
Okay, thanks, Ralph. And let me check, is there any questions? Okay, I think there's no other question. Maybe this is the last question for me. What initial information or requirements are needed when we plan to implement Delta V SCADA?
Okay, yeah, it's another good question because that takes you towards the licensing part of our application, right? So one of the things that we normally look at is, okay, how many data points are you managing, right? Or how many data points will be uh, sent to our cloud platform, and what is the frequency at which we are going to collect. So the whole licensing mechanism is based on the volume of data that we are managing in our platform. So it's not dependent on users. You can have unlimited users. It's not dependent on data storage. You can have, as long as you are under an active subscription, we will store the data for you. All we need to understand is the number of data points that you want to monitor. So let's say if there are 5 or 6 equipment, on each equipment you have 5 data points. So that means there's 50 data. Like if there are 10 equipment, 5 data points, so you have 50 data points that are being managed in all. And what is the frequency at which you're managing it, right? Whether you want to look at the data in 1 minute intervals, 10 minute intervals, hourly intervals. So these are the only two main parameters that are required for us to be able to come up with the licensing for you.
Okay, thank you all for the answer. So I think that is the last question in this Q&A session due to the limited time we have. So we have arrived at the end of the session. And then before we wrap this up, I want to say thank you to you for your time. We truly appreciate the time and effort you put in the session and for sharing your insights openly to us. The way you explain how Delta Visa SCADA supports edge cloud connectivity and AIoT really help bring the topic to us, especially to the participants. So thank you once again, Ralph, for your time and for making today's sessions both insightful and engaging. We really do appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
I think before we close this webinar, maybe do you have any message to our participant today before you leave?
Yes, I think do feel free to reach out if there's something. I know the time may have not been enough for you, to get a full insight, although we did attempt to give you a full view of what the capabilities are, but do feel free to reach out to us. PT Tiara is your point of contact, and we'll be happy to take these discussions and get into more details based on your specific use cases, based on your specific requirements. And as most of you may be going through the Ramadan period and some of you also Lent, I wish you a holy and a prayerful experience over the next month or so. So yeah, that's my closing message, and thank you all for your time today.
Okay, Ralph, thank you for the closing message you have shared. So once again, we really appreciate of your time to be able to join with us today. Langsung. Oke. Selanjutnya untuk para partisipan yang sudah mengikuti di webinar kali ini, jangan lupa untuk mengisi feedback yang ada di chat box di room ini, atau juga bisa juga scan di yang ada di share di sini, Bapak dan Ibu Sobat Tiara sekalian, untuk diisi feedback ya. Eh, Mohon untuk diisi feedback agar bisa mendapatkan materi dari yang sudah dipresentasikan oleh Pak Ralph tadi. Ya, ya, nanti juga bagi Bapak Ibu yang sudah mengisi feedback akan mendapatkan sertifikat. Dan untuk selanjutnya, saya akan, ya, kita akan mengadakan next webinar di minggu depan, yaitu tanggal 26 Februari. dengan judul Smart Oil Monitoring, Easy Integration and Multiple Outputs dari Atentu. Bagi Bapak dan Ibu Sobat Tiara yang ingin mengikuti bisa registrasi di barcode yang sudah ada di sini. Lalu di selanjutnya kita ada webinar juga, yaitu dengan judul The Benefit of Laser Shaft Alignment versus Dial Gauge and the Key Benefits of our Compared to Other Laser Alignment Technology, yang akan diadakan di tanggal 5 Maret 2026. Di sini akan mendapatkan free air certificate juga dan 4 e-wallet for lucky participant. Jadi buat Bapak dan Ibu Sobat Tiara yang ingin mengikuti bisa juga mendaftarkan dengan barcode yang tertera. Mungkin sekian informasi yang saya sampaikan di webinar hari ini mengenai agenda-agenda yang sudah tertera juga. Mungkin bagi Bapak yang ikut juga, agar tidak ketinggalan informasinya, bisa follow untuk sosial media kami di LinkedIn ataupun di Instagram. Mungkin akhir kata saya ucapkan terima kasih atas kesediaan waktu Bapak dan Ibu Sobat Tiara sekalian untuk mengikuti webinar hari ini. Selamat sore dan selamat beraktivitas kembali.
Selamat sore, terima kasih.
Sore.